For me, change chemistry is a shift in focus for the organization away from what I would view as more of a collaborative community in the past to something that's more action oriented. And so I love the way that they've introduced a verb into the name of the organization to reinforce with folks that the goal is for all of us to work together to find ways to drive greener chemistry into the products that we're selling to our customers.
I'm 100% with you, but I love the action mindedness of it. One of the things I've always really enjoyed about the organization is just it's a really unique perspective of we bring together the ingredient manufacturers from the massive companies to the small startups, along with the brands and then retailers like Chris all together. And it's always been a very collaborative organization. I've learned so much personally just being a part of it. But I think this new pivot to change chemistry, given the big problems we have to solve as we think about, sustainability, safety, all coming together, particularly as we think about solving for climate change, is one that we're really focused on. I love the action-oriented focus of change chemistry.
It's interesting because we on the retail side are at the very end of the supply chain and often don't have an appreciation for the challenges and complexity that our vendor partners and their suppliers are facing as we try and evolve our portfolios to be safer and more sustainable. And so we can sit, a lot of the organizations I sit in are a lot of retailers talking to each other. And if you're not careful, it can almost feel like an echo chamber. We're all trying to solve the same problems, but we're not the ones that are on the ground actually designing and creating new products. And so without insights to understand where those common barriers are, what obstacles we need to overcome and what opportunities are available to us, it's really difficult to know which areas to focus on first. And so working with great partners like Procter Gamble, talking to Todd, we learn a ton. And by working together, we can figure out better and more productive ways to solve the problems that we're all facing.
So many of the ingredient manufacturers have aspirations and commitments to net zero. We as brands have it. And then also the retailers have the same aspirations. So we're all dependent on each other to solve these. What is the scope 3 emissions of the supplier becomes my scope 3 emissions when we take them on as our raw materials, and they become the product scope 3 emissions for Chris and the other retailers. So we're all in this together, I think, from the problems we're trying to solve.
When you're trying to make big systemic changes, it's very difficult to do it on your own. And it really doesn't make a lot of sense because, as Todd mentioned, his company, my other retail peers, the other members of the organization, we're all trying to solve the same problems. And so it would be a lot more difficult and a lot more expensive for us to try and solve these problems on our own than it is to solve them in a large group.